If you want to hear my theory about what Chucky's original plan may have been and how it was altered in desperation, then stick around to the end of this video. Welcome back to Things You Missed, the show where I find the most thoughtful and intelligent analysis and discussion about horror cinema. Except we're covering a movie about a dumb kid and a killer doll who at one point blows up a house, so let's just throw all that intelligent analysis stuff out the window with Aunt Maggie and get into the things you missed. The movie begins in Chicago, where serial killer Charles Lee Ray is fleeing from the police. I heard online somewhere that the name Charles Lee Ray comes from combining the names of serial killer Charles Manson and assassins Lee Harvey Oswald and James Earl Ray. And I only wish that he actually would have succeeded in taking over Andy Barclay's body, because that would have made him Charles Barkley. Apparently, before Jimmy Wong was on Feasts of Fiction, he also ran his own Cantonese restaurant, outside of which Charles Lee Ray gets shot. Anyone find it a little strange that he bleeds more in his doll form than he does as a human? Anyways, he flees into the toy shop, and one thing I found kind of interesting here is that the front window of this place, Playland Toys, shows all of these toys driving cars, and that's like the one thing that Chucky can't do. In all of the sequels, he has to either hitch a ride or threaten someone to drive him somewhere. There's also a picture of Humpty Dumpty right here next to this French duck, and that could be a foreshadowing about Maggie falling down the 8th story window later. That could just be a coincidence, but I will note that this wasn't just a toy store that they filmed in. This was built for the movie and also destroyed for the movie. When Ray is breaking into the store, there's a game near the window called Fireball Island, which from what I can tell is a game about a cursed volcano, and Charles shoots in that direction to open the door. This could be a parallel to Chucky being a cursed doll who's eventually killed when they shoot it in the heart. Again, those are questionably intentional, but here's one that definitely isn't intentional, but I found kind of interesting anyways. When the title comes on screen, all of the letters are capitalized besides A and I, and in the 2019 version of Child's Play, Chucky is an AI, an artificial intelligence. As the dying Charles makes his way through the store, he keeps saying he's gotta find somebody.
I gotta find somebody. I gotta find somebody. I gotta find somebody. I gotta find somebody.
Then when he knocks over the stack of good guy dolls, he looks surprised, as if an idea has just hit him. I think he memorized the voodoo incantation with the intention of transferring his soul into another human in case he ever got in trouble. But since there were no humans around, he figured his best bet was to try to send it into the doll, and by a stroke of luck, it worked. He even tells John Bishop later that he was kind of surprised that it worked. The next day is our protagonist Andy Barclay's birthday. He gets up early to watch his favorite show, Good Guys. Roll it.
No one will play with me. Uh-oh. There's a friend in me. Hey, cheer up. Who are you?
I am Dr. Rabbit.
No, but what I actually wanted to point out was that the kid in this cartoon has a target on his chest, just as Andy becomes the target of Chucky after learning that he's the only one that he'll be able to transfer his soul into. Andy isn't interested in the show though, because he's apparently already seen it, so he returns to the kitchen so he can continue being a complete brat. The brand of bread that he uses for his mother's toast is Good Stuff, which matches the constant Good Guys branding on almost everything he owns. I'm genuinely surprised that they didn't make this Good Guys mascot the villain of the entire movie instead of the doll. He looks way creepier. Look at this thing. Imagine this chasing after you in a dark alley. Would have been way better. At the end of that commercial, we hear the following.
Brought to you exclusively by Play Pals, makers of Good Guys and other fine toys. Found in toy stores throughout the greater Chicago area.
Play Pals would later play a more prominent role in the sequel, Child's Play 2, though there looks to be an error later in the movie where it says Play Partners Toys on the Good Guys box instead of Play Pals. Close enough, I guess. Speaking of errors, when Andy sees that commercial, that's the first time he's hearing about the Good Guy doll.
Wow!
Then he goes into the other room and wakes up his mom, and she lets him open his birthday presents.
Well, what do you think?
I want a good guy to go with it.
I know you do, Andy.
Wait, hold up, stop it right there. No, you didn't know he wanted a good guy. He just found out like 5 minutes ago while you were asleep. All right, let's continue. Andy's mom is able to buy the doll from a peddler and give it to Andy. The design of the Good Guy doll is based off the My Buddy doll from the 80s.
My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy.
Andy's mom has to work late, so her friend Maggie watches Andy that night. As she's turning off the TV, a news report talks about Eddie Caputo, who escaped during a prison bus transfer on his way to court. You'll already know about this if you've seen the movie multiple times, but it's not as obvious on a first watch. Eddie was Charles' accomplice the night before at the toy store who bailed out on picking him up in the van.
Hey, don't leave me, God, no!
So Chucky goes after him later and blows up his hideout.
What the fuck?
Also, the news station is called WDOL, you know, because Chucky's a doll. Chucky pushes Maggie out of the window where she falls harder than James Charles' career, so Karen ends up coming home to an apartment full of cops.
What?
Miss Peterson's dead, Miss Barkley.
What?
Wait, how are you surprised by that? After this?
Nothing to see. Now let's go this.
And this? And after this?
Miss Barkley, I'm Detective Mike Norris. Homicide.
So the cops clear out after he explains everything, and the next day Karen takes her son to school and lets him bring the Chucky doll with. This is almost as bad as that kid who brought his cat to school in Pet Sematary 2. Yeah, this video really took a wrong turn if we're talking about Pet Sematary 2 again. Andy skips school and Chucky makes him go to Eddie's hideout so he can get his revenge. The police find Andy and pick him up, where they discover he believes that Chucky is alive and send him in for a mental evaluation. Karen is left to give Chucky a closer look. At the apartment, there's a photo of a guy in a red shirt. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Andy's deceased father, and they have the same photo all over the house, but it's actually just the director of the movie, Tom Holland. He also makes a cameo as the voice during that creepy commercial that I mentioned earlier. Chucky tries to kill Officer Norris and is almost successful, but Norris ends up shooting him, and Chucky discovers that he's able to feel pain. So he hits up his pal, John Bishop, the voodoo doctor, to try to figure out how to remedy the situation. He learns that his doll form is becoming human, and Chucky threatens him with a voodoo doll to try to get more information.
Shouldn't tell your customers where you hide things like this, John.
Wait, so are we to believe that John made a voodoo doll of himself? Why? How would that... You know what? F it, let's just continue on with this video.
So long, John.
And so Chucky learns he must transfer his soul into the person who he first revealed himself to, which of course is Andy. So Chucky tries to break into the hospital where the little is being kept, and all of a sudden he's freaking massive on the stairs. Look at this. It's like that mascot I was talking about earlier. And are we really supposed to believe that Andy, the kid who could not even pour a bowl of his cereal properly, was clever enough to set that bait with the pillow and escape when Chucky came in? And one more thing, why do they have this shock device which is apparently capable of killing a grown man in a children's hospital? And another thing, how does a 6-year-old find his way home on the streets of Chicago by himself? And it's winter, and I'm assuming he's never been to this hospital before. Alright, I'll stop ragging on this movie now. No, I won't. Obvious reference to Halloween, obvious reference to The Shining. Andy's mom gets home and manages to trap Chucky in the fireplace, and we actually get a pretty cool one-liner from Andy.
Andy, no, please. We're friends to the end, remember?
This is the end, friend.
It isn't. They blow Chucky's head off, and he comes back. They blow his arm off, and he comes back. And then finally they figure it out. For some reason you have to shoot it in the heart.
The heart! Shoot him in the heart!
Cue the Bon Jovi end credits song. What? No shot through the heart? Are you kidding me? This was the 80s. That song came out like 2 years before this. It would have been perfect. All right, whatever. Click the video on the left if you want to see some things you missed in the teaser trailer and ARG for the new Child's Play remake. Next week, I'm doing Child's Play 2 and 3. And of course, I'll be doing the new movie when it comes out. So here's what you gotta do. Subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week. Ring that death bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.